Why does CityPlace get so much hate? Now, before you grab your pitchforks and start typing into the comments about how wrong I am, I want to make something very clear. I like CityPlace. I like a lot of what it has to offer, and I owe a lot to the area. I started my real estate career working at a real estate office on Fort York and built up my entire business by doing leases in all those CityPlace condos. CityPlace condos have some of the best views in the entire city, looking either back at the city or at the water. And the location is A+. You can't argue at how well it's located. You can jump right onto the Gardner, you can get over to the DVP, you can get to the QEW, you can walk to basically everything that you would ever need. So why do people hate it? Just before we jump into that, I want to remind everybody, we've got a contest going on right now, the 5,000 subscriber giveaway. So once we hit 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to give to one of you a $500 Amazon gift card. So make sure to subscribe and like the video. Also, my name is Tom. If you want to book a real estate consultation with me, you can do so in the first link in the description. Buyer consultation, a seller consultation, or just a call to chat about real estate. Well, I think that the reputation that CityPlace had got itself about 10 years ago is still how people are thinking about it today, even though the neighborhood has changed a ton. I actually think that CityPlace is kind of like the Nickelback of condominium communities. That might sound a little bit funny, but I think people just hate it because it's the cool thing to do, or because that's what their friends said, or that's what they read on Twitter or Reddit. And some of the reasons people don't like it are totally fine. I think it's justified. But the other criticism, I think, is people just jumping on the bandwagon. Now, the developer that built out all of CityPlace was Concord. They're a Hong Kong developer, and in other parts of Canada, they have great reputations. If I ask any of my real estate friends in Vancouver, they have nothing but good things to say about the Concord buildings there. So why is their reputation so much different in Toronto? A lot of other developers have much better reputations, like Tridel, like Menkes, like Freed, and the list could go on and on. CityPlace started from scratch. They were building out an entire new community that started 20 years ago. And they were already at a disadvantage because of that. Because if you look at other areas that do very well for condos, the neighborhood was already established, like St. Lawrence Market or King West, and then they added condos to them. But with these massive planned out condo communities, there's nothing there. They got to build the condos first and then build the infrastructure around them. And it took CityPlace a long time to find its footing. You know, I remember just when the Tim Hortons opened at Dan Leckie, how big news that was. When I worked in CityPlace, I would go to the Sobeys for lunch every single day because that's really all there was. And let's be honest, right? The early days of CityPlace, all the storefront businesses were just like real estate offices. Ever since the school was completed in the community center, and if you go to CityPlace on a nice summer day, everyone's playing out in the field. It's an awesome place to be. The restaurants and the local businesses have come a very, very long way from what they were a decade ago. But we do have to address why there is hate for the community and why a lot of people, even clients that we work with, tell us right off the bat, hey, I want to buy a condo, but I'd like to avoid CityPlace. So let's break it down into 3 different categories, okay? Category number 1, the original CityPlace. This includes 361 Front Street, 373 Front Street, 381 Front Street, and 397 Front Street. And then we got to talk about 81 Navy Wharf, 3 and 10 Navy Wharf, and 35 Mariner Terrace. These are all the buildings that are east of Spadina. And these buildings all have good reputations. Obviously, they're not perfect, but no condo is perfect. It's when Concord started building west of Spadina that a few issues started popping up. So let's go through each of those buildings, and I'm not going to show them all on the screen here. I'm just going to label them off for you. The first building on the west side is 4K Spadina and 25 Telegram Mews. The joke when that condo first launched is we called it fifth-year residence because a lot of young people moved into the area. And with young people moving into the area, that meant a lot of them were renters. And no matter what, renters are never going to treat something the same as owners are. Those buildings have come a long way, but let's jump to the next one. Then we got 8 Telegram and 25 Caprail Court. 8 Telegram is actually one of my favorite CityPlace buildings. I have good friends that have lived there over a period of time. I really like those buildings. Now, if we cross over to the other side of the street, we've got 15 Fort York, we've got 15 Burnell, and we've got 11 Burnell. I love those buildings, specifically 11 Burnell. The views of the water in the airport back at the city are awesome. And just before I forget, because I feel like I always forget this building, 9 Spadina is the other one on the east side. That was one of the original ones as well. And we'll end off this list here with 38 Dan Leckie Way, which is down closer to Lakeshore and Dan Leckie. That building kind of stood on its own. It's the one that looks like maybe Concord didn't build it because it was so much different than all the others, but I have no real issues with that building. I think the reputation with condo quality not being so great started with the parade buildings. So this was 10 Capriel, 15, 21 Iceboat, and 151 Dan Leckie. 15 and 21 Iceboat buildings are iconic in terms of what they look like. You've got that bridge right in the middle. We actually had one of our client parties years ago in that bridge. But when they were building out and selling those specific condos, it was during the condo boom when investors were grabbing up a lot of these condos. So that meant that when these buildings launched, almost 80% of them were rented out immediately. Airbnb was a big issue in these buildings, even though it's not so much now because of the new regulations, but these buildings kind of gave CityPlace a bad reputation. And now let's go to section number 3, which I'm going to call just the new buildings, right? You got 75 Queens Wharf, you got 85 Queens Wharf, you got 80 Queens Wharf, and you got 90 Queens Wharf. And then as we head down with the brand new Loblaws and the LCBO, we've got the brand new condos, which are the 17 and 19 Bathurst, and those are awesome buildings. All these new ones, like the quality has come back. Concord did a really good job, and I have no issues with them. And just before I forget, there's also Canada House, which is going back east, which is going to be an absolute monster. That's going to be a building that is going to be really impressive in the future. And now that I've bored you going over every single building in CityPlace, where do we go from here? So a lot of the reputation that CityPlace had was for a few specific buildings or for maybe the demographics of the area where it was all young people just partying, but those people have grown up. And since the school came in, the community center, there's a lot of families in the area. Things have really changed. So where do we go from here? Well, I think the future is bright for CityPlace. I think that we can't just take the opinions of everyone. We have to actually go experience it for ourselves and see if we enjoy the community, because I think it has a lot of great things to offer. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, home is where your story begins.